The Power of Suggestion is a behavioral science experimental investigation. I, Isadora K. Ross, wrote it, and I am a 9th grade student at Amundsen High School. My teacher sponsoring this is James Stoll. Throughout these 2 slides, the abstract, the safety sheet, as well as the endorsements for human participation are included. Finally, after all my time with this experiment, I would like to express my gratitude to those who helped make this project possible. I would first and foremost want to thank my science teacher, Mr. James Stoll, for his continuous support and guidance throughout the entire process. His feedback, encouragement, and insights in my experiment were instrumental in shaping it. He really helped me refine all my approaches and dedication to this. I would also like to extend my appreciation to all of the volunteers who participated in the study. Their time and willingness to help were crucial to the success of this project. And lastly, another thank you goes to my dear friend Luis Nunez, who helped me gather the volunteers and ensure the experiment ran smoothly. Without his help, this would not have been possible. Altogether, their support made a big difference, and I'm very grateful for them. Now it's time for my purpose and my hypothesis. My experiment aimed to explore the influence of suggestion on memory. I really wanted my work to contribute to a better understanding of cognitive psychology and its implications in real-life situations. My experiment has a very strong role in legal settings, principal's office, and just everyday relationships. The mind is a very dynamic topic, and I've always loved studying in it and how it impacts everything one does. I really hope to further this understanding with this experiment. With that, I hypothesized that if participants are suggested that they forgot a non-existent face from a group of provided faces, 80% of those volunteers will report that face. This is because the suggestion will convince them that the non-existent face was part of the original set. This belief is supported by research that demonstrates that authority figures can significantly influence memory. My materials for this project were quite simple. I needed 25 volunteers, 20 of which would be put in my suggestion group, and 5 would not have anything done to them as they were just for control. I then had one table with columns labeled as following: the volunteer number, as they were assigned numbers to not disclose any personal information, the volunteer group that they were in, suggestion or control, the number of faces given to the volunteer, which were the same for all of them, 10, and then whether or not the non-existent face was recalled. 1 would signify a yes and 0 would signify a no. I then needed one computer with a slide or poster of 10 different faces, a chair and desk in a room for the volunteers, and a timer for 1 minute and then 30 seconds. Throughout the procedure, the term slide of faces or simply faces will be said very often. Just as background, that is in reference to this poster. My first step was to design and print a poster featuring the set of faces. I would also prepare scoring sheets to keep track of anything the volunteers mentioned. I would bring each volunteer into a quiet location alone with minimal distractions for conducting the experiment. I would arrange seating for the participants, and I would show them the poster for 1 minute. I told them beforehand that I was looking for anything they could remember from the faces or people. After that 1 minute was up, I would give them 30 seconds to list descriptions of any of the faces they remembered. After that, I would have the suggestion group, which was 20 out of the 25 people, have a suggestion implemented to them. I would say, word for word, close, but you forgot the white brunette lady in the purple suit. That white brunette lady did indeed not exist, as you can see in the poster. I would then ask them to come in a follow-up session the next day. These were the same participants and everything. I would then once again ask the participants to recall and describe the faces without showing them the poster. This time, I was looking for the absence or the presence of the mention of the non-existent face. After gathering that data, I used the formula 100 times the number of the suggested face mentioned divided by the total number of suggestion group volunteers to get these results. Here is just photos of the volunteers and the stages of the experiment, as well as the initial data table just for authenticity purposes. This is my final data for the frequency of the suggested face. 85% of the suggestion group reported the non-existent face in the second day of the experiment, meaning that only 15% of the suggestion group was not influenced. Here is just another data table summarizing the results of the previous figure, meaning that 85% of the suggestion group were influenced and only 15% were not. Here is my final data table which compiled the volunteer information. You can see the volunteers numbered labeled here to keep them anonymous, whether they were in the suggestion or control group, the number of faces given to them, which were 10 for everyone, and then whether or not the non-existent face was recalled. The experiment's results confirm the theory that authoritative persons' recommendations can severely skew memory recall. In comparison to 0% in the control group, 85% of participants in the recommendation group incorrectly remembered a non-existent face that had been proposed by an authoritative figure. This powerful contrast illustrates how suggestion may impact memory. The findings are consistent with earlier studies, including Elizabeth Loftus, a famous psychologist, which demonstrated how suggestions can cause people to recall information that was never there. The experiment highlights how memory may be readily influenced by outside forces, such as authoritative persons, and is not always a reliable representation of the past. These results have significant ramifications, especially when it comes to situations like testimonies in court. Because a significant portion of jurors or witnesses may be swayed by suggestive questioning, their recollections may be tainted, which could result in an incorrect conviction or misreported occurrences. This also comes down to smaller situations, such as someone getting in trouble in a principal's office or a boyfriend confronting their girlfriend and having their mind manipulated. All things considered, the experiment emphasized the importance of comprehending how suggestion can impact memory, particularly in high-stakes situations like court cases where fabricated memories could have dire repercussions.